Salma quickly earned a place at Mom Remi's shop. Her records were clean, her calculations accurate, and she was never late. Customers began to notice the gentle woman behind the counter who greeted everyone with a soft smile and a respectful nod. For a time, it seemed as though the worst had passed, but not everyone was pleased with her growing favor. Other sellers nearby, bitter with envy, whispered among themselves. Some accused her of pretending to be too pious to deceive. Some said she was planning to steal the business. One day, Mom Remi's purse went missing. Accusations rose like smoke, and the flames pointed to Salma. She's new, she's pretending, she's the one who took it, they cried. Salma stood frozen, the blood draining from her face. She looked at Mom Remi with wide eyes. I did not take anything, ma. Wallahi, I didn't. But when trust hangs by a thread, it is easily caught. Without proof, Mom Remi asked Salma to leave until things are sorted out. She walked home with the longest face. The walk home was the longest of her life. At home, Farida asked innocently, Mommy, why are you back early? Salma knelt and hugged her tightly, fighting the tears that threatened to spill. That night, after laying her children to sleep, Salma wept on her prayer mat, wept against the injustice in her life. Then she rose and she prayed and she whispered, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. In the darkness, her faith became her shield, because indeed Allah is sufficient for anyone and He is the best disposer of all affairs. The morning after her prayers, Salma woke up with a renewed sense of hope. Despite the loss of her job, she believed that Allah would open another door. She tidied her small room and prepared a simple breakfast of soaked gari and groundnuts for her children. The knock at the door came harsh. Standing outside were her late husband's brothers, 3 of them. Their faces were stony, their eyes cold. You can't stay here anymore, the eldest said, arms folded across his chest. This house belongs to our brother's blood. You women are no longer part of this family. Salma's heart pounded painfully, but he built this child for us, for me and the children. They laughed bitterly. A widow with no protector. Who would fight for you? Pack your things and get out now. Within hours, her few belongings were thrown out like garbage. Salma, clutching Farida and little Yusuf to her side, stood barefoot in the courtyard she had once called home. Neighbors watched in silence, some shaking their heads in pity, none daring to intervene. The sky rumbled darkly as if mourning with her. Rain began to fall, slow, heavy drops. Salma lifted her face to the heavens, eyes closed. Oh Allah, she whispered, you are my only guardian now. Guide me. With soaked clothes, muddy feet, and a heart battered but unbroken, Salma took her children's hands and walked into the storm. She had nothing but her faith, and that was everything. The rain drenched them to the skin. Salma's arms ached from holding Yusuf for too long, while Farida stumbled along beside her. But they did not stop. They could not. They found shelter that night at the front of an abandoned kiosk. Salma gathered her children close, wrapping them in a soaked veil, whispering soft words of comfort until their shivers slowed and sleep claimed them. The next morning, the world smelled of wet earth and fresh beginnings. Salma wiped her face and rose before sunrise. She could not wait for help to find her. She would seek it out. Clutching Yusuf to her hip and holding Farida's hand, she made her way to a mosque nearby. There, after offering her prayers, she met an elderly woman who noticed her worn-out look. Aminatu is my name, the woman said, handing Salma a small packet of dates. Come, child, Allah does not forget his servants. Aminatu introduced Salma to a women's cooperative that runs small businesses, sewing, soap making, and cooking. They welcomed Salma warmly after hearing her story. For the first time in months, she was surrounded not by accusations but by sisterhood. Her hands, though rough and tired, found purpose once again, stitching simple garments, making soap, preparing food to smell. Every kobo she earned, she saved. At night, when her children slept, she knelt again on her prayer mat, whispering gratitude through her tears. She had lost a home, lost a livelihood, lost her security, but not her faith, not her hope. And from this, she was rebuilding, brick by invisible brick. Weeks passed, slowly, steadily. Salma stitched her days together like the clothes she made at the cooperative, one carefully seam at a time. With every bar of soap she sold, every meal she helped prepare, every cloth she hemmed, her savings grew. She found a small single-room apartment near the market, a place with peeling walls, a rusted tin roof, and a stubborn door that creaked every time it opened. But it was theirs. For the first time since her husband's death, Salma turned the key in a lock that belonged to her. When she and the children moved in, there was no furniture, just bare concrete floors and cracked windows. Yet Salma spread out their old prayer mats and laid her children down on folded clothes as makeshift bed. That night, under the faint hum of distant traffic and the lullaby of crickets, Salma smiled. They were safe, they had each other, and Allah was with them. She woke before dawn every morning, praying fervently, then settling down to work harder than ever. Her soap became popular in the local market. People admired her honesty and the rich natural scent she used. Soon, small shops began requesting bulk orders. Salma dreamed bigger. She began teaching Farida how to write and read in the evenings, sitting by the glow of a tiny kerosene lamp. Yusuf, although still young, giggled more time, his laughter filling their little home. In the quiet moments, Salma allowed herself to dream of a better education for her children, of one day opening her own shop, of maybe, just maybe, inspiring other women who had been pushed down by life. The seeds she planted in hardship was beginning to sprout, and she would water them with faith, perseverance, and prayer. The road had been long, but Salma's heart was steady. One evening, after selling her last bars of soap, a woman approached her at the market, well dressed, confident, with kind eyes. "I have been watching you," the woman said. "I run a women's empowerment foundation. We offer grants to hardworking women to start proper businesses. I think you deserve one." Salma blinked, stunned. For a moment, the memories of her in-laws' harsh word, the nights she spent at the front of a broken chaos, all rushed back, and now this. Still, there was a catch. The grant required Salma to attend a short business training program in another town, 3 weeks away from home. How could she leave her children? Doubt clouded at her, but after much prayer, she arranged for a trusted neighbor to watch Farida and Yusuf. With trembling arms and unshakable faith, Salma accepted. The training was hard. Most women there had more education, more money, more support, but Salma had something stronger: the heart of a mother who had carried her word on her back and never once let it fall. At the ceremony, Salma was named the best participant. She received her grant, a sum larger than she had ever had in her hands, and business mentorship for a year. Upon returning home, she wept in sujud, forehead pressed to the ground, tears soaking the mat. Her first shop was small but beautiful. She named it Salma's Pure Treasures, natural soaps, home goods, and handmade clothes. Customers flooded in, drawn by her sincerity, her quality, and her story. Farida and Yusuf thrived, growing up with a mother who taught them that dignity and faith could weather any storm. Salma's once scorched dreams blossomed into gardens of hope. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living, she was shining. And as she stood one evening outside her thriving little store, watching the sunset paint gold across the sky, Salma whispered a prayer of gratitude. Verily, with hardship comes ease.